Okay, I think we are... Are we live? What's happening here? Hold on. Yeah, maybe. Okay. Hello, everybody. Anyone out there? It's been a while. It has been... My Twitch account says about 7 months since I've been live, so it's been a while. Hope everybody's good. It looks like things are running well. I got decent speed and connection. Okay. Alright. Okay. We're just going with that. So, hello. Excuse me, I'm not parched. It's hot in here. I am artist Lynell Ingram, and it's been a while since I've been live, but we're here today to do a little bit of painting and just catch up and chat about life and art business and everything that's been going on. Yeah, I used to live stream about twice a week, but back in January, kind of took some time off. So yeah, it's been a long time. It's crazy. I thought I'd be making more videos, but time keeps moving. So here's what I'm going to be working on today. It's a purse. And my thought here, sorry, bumped the camera. This is a slightly older bag I have. It's in okay shape, but not the greatest shape. It's got some like breaks and things in the fake leather. But I'm going to paint on it. I want to do some fixing up to use it and just kind of play around with maybe what to like personalize it, use it as a painting surface. So I do plan on putting a patch on here. I have a few to choose from. I'm going to swap out some of the hardware and the strap thing, you know, whatever you want to call it. So start off very easily popping that off because I'm not going to use this. I hate everything about this. So yes, goodbye. So I've done a little research, a little bit into the best ways to paint on the faux leather. So I have a fabric medium additive to add to my acrylic paints. And we're just going to see what happens. No love lost if this gets destroyed or whatever. Hopefully it'll just last me minimum a week or so. I'm just trying something new. So that's going to be what I'm working on while painting today. So that's the plan. And I've done a little sketch on here already. I even have a little acrylic finisher. So I guess it's like a sealant once it's done. So I don't know. I've never worked with these particular additives before. I bought them a year ago to do some other project I had in mind, and I completely forgot about it and just never got around to it. So here we are today, gonna use it for something completely different. Just because I wanted a different bag to carry around. And I don't know. That's it. Just Jim, hello, how are you? Good to see you here. It's been a long time. Glad to see you. Right. I've been busy with a whole bunch of random things. So we'll get into that in a second. First off, one thing, I have a bunch of patches. I got my 2 Fridas version. I kind of want to save that for something that I'm not as like iffy about how well it's going to work out. This is one that I really love. I think it might be a little too big. It says, "I will destroy everything you love." This is from this Stay Home Club. And I really like, I've gotten quite a few things from them years ago. They've kind of changed their style a little bit since then, so I'm not as into their newer stuff, but they still do cool work. So I'm kind of leaning between these two because they're a little smaller. I like them. I don't want for them to be destroyed either, but I'm going to stitch them on and then I can just put them off to use them in other instances if I choose to at some point, to make sure that things are, you know, I'm not going to waste them. So the only reason I want to decide that first is because I kind of want to let them determine the colors that I use for painting on here. I really love this eyeball. It says perspectives on the inside. And then of course Cats and colors. I think I'll go with the eyeball. So the plan is that this will go over here, but I'm going to do all the painting stuff first. And then I have I'll replace these little tabs. I have a selection of random stuff. This is my favorite. That's been on the bag I've been carrying. Heroic ass artist. From High Art. This is something I picked up at the Chicago Modern Art Museum in their gift shop last year sometime. I have a dainty little chainsaw piece that is from Texas Chainsaw Massacre beginning, so I guess that's like probably something they used to advertise when they did that remake. Elm Street Neighborhood Watch, that was a gift from somebody, and that's just, it's very big. And I have another one that's kind of big when I took a class experimenting with 3D printing at the library. It just says masterpiece. And something else that I've had forever, a little Zim from Invader Zim. Somebody, I think, bought me this too. I was huge fan of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac back when I was in high school. Alright, so I'm gonna go with that one. So that's gonna dictate the colors I'll put on my palette. Okay, so putting my paints out. Already knocking things over, so we're back to the old habits before I get very far at all. Alright. So since my last streams, I have finished a couple projects that I'd started on stream. I think the last one that I have to go back. The last one that I was working on was a watercolor piece, if I'm correct. Or a girl holding a box. So I finished that piece and I would show you, but I no longer have it in possession. That one actually went to a new home, so I'm very excited about that. So if you wanted to see what it looks like, you could check out my Instagram or my website and see a version of it there, like a photo of it there. Otherwise, the piece that I was painting on, that was the cutting board, that's been finished for a while, and it is one thing I did finally do is add hanging hardware to it. I was a little worried about doing that. I was afraid of messing it up, but it went fine. I got my hanging hardware on there, and it is on my website also. Uh-oh. My cat is just jumping up on the table. Somebody's here to cause some drama, I think. He has been very difficult with me being in the studio almost at all these days. He just yells at me anytime I come in here and makes it difficult to get much work done. I don't know, maybe he's just being particularly needy, I'm not really sure, but yes, very difficult little guy sometimes. Oh, my cat. So hopefully he doesn't try to walk across my paint palette, that will be a problem. Hey, come on, you're very cute, and I know you want to see everybody, but no walking in the paint, alright? This is Watson for anybody who hasn't seen him before. He's always here for a cameo. Huh? Why don't you go get in the window? Yeah? Are you jumping? Ooh. I don't know if anybody, if you were a kid in the 80s, 90s, sometime in there, if you ever painted like a t-shirt and you get the squishy puff paint things from the craft store, I got some of those for fabric paint. At least one of them says it's 3D. The other ones have price tags over the thing. But anyway, yeah, I have a few of these. I don't know if they work. I paid like 25 cents or 50 cents for them at a resale shop. Okay, so I need maybe some purple. And as far as any other paintings that I've done in the last 7 months, I had one commission portrait that had 3 portraits in it that was a bit of, took some time, but I was really happy with how it turned out. And I have the really big painting that's behind me here, which would be the largest painting that I've ever worked on since basically high school. for some reason I had some project where I did a 4x6 painting and it was something. But yeah, so this one is a 30 by 48. I've done 24 by 48s before, so it's a little bigger, and that should be fun to work on, I hope. So maybe that's enough to start with. I'll probably want put a little black down. This is actual fabric paint. I've had this forever, I think. No, for screen printing. Well, whatever. It's for textiles, leathers, and stuff. Whatever. It all works. Okay. So this is kind of what I'm going to start with for my palette. Let me get another light on here. It's not hot enough in my studio already. It's just sort of isolated from the rest of the unit. Lucy's art, hello, hi from Phoenix. Welcome, welcome. Jim's in Campton Hills, Illinois. That's not too far from me. I'm in the Chicagoland area. Suburbs. Living in suburbia. Okay, so what I'm doing now is just mixing in my paints into some of the medium that I set down to help them flow and adhere to, well, this is really flowy stuff, to the fabric and be able to move a little bit. Well, this will be interesting. Nothing like, you know, going live to experiment with stuff I've never worked with before, but hey. Gotta live a little. If nothing, you can always count on it being interesting. Okay. Ooh, I've done a digital collage recently because I've been toying around with these ideas of graphics that I think would be really cool to have for prints or t-shirts and things like that. But I wasn't liking how it worked out to make them like out of paint, like entirely on canvas or paintings. So I did a digital collage where I actually did combine some elements from some paintings, but here. This is it. This is it printed on a postcard, and I do actually have it available as larger prints, but I just had some 5x7 postcards made up, and it's I love you, and then over here it says go to therapy. Repeated over and over again, so I love you, go to therapy, which is both like a truth that I think many people can relate to their loved ones in that way, but also kind of funny and tongue-in-cheek a little bit, so it just hits in all those levels. My lovely lady here, her brain is on fire. So that was actually really fun to work on. I've got that. I have it in my shops now. I've been making new products. Some out of existing things. This paint is a little chunkier so far. Yeah, it's interesting because I use some fluid acrylics over here, and over here I have the heavy-bodied stuff that's mixing a little thicker. So we will... Oh, like it, thank you. Thank you, Lucy's Art and Soul. I appreciate that very much. I don't know what... I can't remember the moment that I decided that that was something I needed to make, but that piece in particular has been in my head in some way, shape, or form, and I finally got it done and made. And I have this other painting that I did... Oh gosh, is it 3 years ago now? How does this happen? It's all the cool girls vote. I'll bring that over too. I made little 2x4 inch stickers and magnets and what's there? It's a scary place over here with all the tripods and pliers at the moment, but I made it on a tote bag as well. Yeah, it's almost too big to show up on the camera without shoving it in my paints. So turning things into products, that's been something I've been working at. And then once I did that, I've spent way too much time trying to get good product photos that's like a whole thing. It's really hard for me to seem to be able to do. I have a decent camera, I have lighting. I really struggle getting a good, I think a nice looking background and setting it up well. I'm not a photographer. So taking me way too long to try to get photos that I've liked of everything and put those up. And I've mostly been doing that on my Etsy page. I still have to update products on my website, but a little bit at a time, working at those areas. 86 degrees, too humid. Yeah, I haven't even left the house at all today. I wasn't really planning on it because it is very hot and humid. And we have the AC on, but wall ACs in this place. One of them is out in our kitchen, dining room, living room. One of them's in the other bedroom, and this room is just sort of like its own little cave where I have my tiny little fan just pumping away. But it gets, especially with lights and computer on and everything, it gets really hot in here. All right, so I'm almost done mixing my fabric medium in here. And then start throwing around paints and making a mess. So besides just making art and artsy things, I've also been I've been doing a couple other things as well. I've been continuing some education stuff, taking some classes online, and I've been like looking at other avenues to just kind of grow what I'm doing. You know, how I can live in. One of those is live painting events. I'm working on all the details and the setup for offering to do live paintings at people's events, essentially. I guess that's kind of what it sounds like when I say that. AC on, but yeah. I would like that, actually. I'll just sit on the AC vent and be much more comfortable. That sounds okay. Somebody should come up with a device like that. I think it would make millions. Yeah, I've initially I've done some live demonstration paintings at a couple art fairs, and I just did one. I'm offering to do it at like businesses or initially. And I'm kind of offering thus far to do it basically for free unless they want to buy the painting, just to get some experience under my belt. But I did a live painting event just last weekend at Beer on the Wall in Arlington Heights. In the downtown area, they have like an al fresco, they call it, with outdoor dining and seating for people to enjoy. And so for about 3 hours, I was just outside painting. And I worked with them to come up with an idea, and I did a beer being poured. And it was fun. It was a hot day, but it wasn't like completely miserable. It was totally fine. And it worked out really well. I think I got a pretty good setup. Had a really hard time figuring out like what kind of table I could carry with me for doing live paintings. And because I didn't want it to be too big. I wanted something relatively small, but also a little higher than normal table height, since I'm standing and painting at an easel. So and usually larger paintings for that sort of thing. I ended up getting a bar table, a folding bar table. So if you were doing, you know, bartending at an event, these are the things that they sell for that. And that actually worked out really well, and it's very lightweight, so that was not bad. I got clamps and things to try to help with windy days. And it's just something kind of, it's fun, and it adds like just a unique thing that if people are interested in having that, to make an event a little different, whether it's like a fair or where I see a lot of people offering that. One of the more popular places is with weddings. I think that's a whole other basket of fruit right there doing weddings, but I am, you know, I'm game for, I'm game for about anything, really. If try anything, I'm pretty good at painting portraits, so I don't mind. It's just a more formal thing, I guess. Yeah. Then the other thing is trying to offer commissions and get the word out about offering commissions for portrait work, which I've done some of, but I don't have a tendency to like advertise it very well. So that's been the thing. The biggest issue I almost always have. Okay. Just trying to keep an eye on, make sure everything's working right. My computer's just right over there. Marketing. I think a lot of artists really struggle because it's one whole thing to be an artist and to work on your skill and your craft and what you're working on, but then it's like you have to be able to also do all the business side stuff too. For the most part, you have to, like, I mean, running a business, accounting and dealing with your back-end stuff, taxes, all the fun things, and managing inventory, shipping stuff, whatever. But then the marketing side of it, which is a tremendous pain and difficult, and feels like learning another language. Oh, Lucy, you're a fine art major. Can safely say I'm lacking in art marketing. Photography is your next class. Didn't realize how much went into being an artist until I enrolled in art school. Well, you probably, I would say, have some advantage because it's been a hot minute since I was in art school, and the internet did exist, but they weren't teaching us anything about, like, they weren't even talking about having an online portfolio. Social media didn't exist yet. We were basically, the extent of my marketing education in art school was print out postcards to mail, have business cards, and then have a printed portfolio to shop around to going into people's offices. I also majored in illustration, so it was a little bit different too. It was more, you were trying to work with art directors and that sort of thing, but I don't expect that what they were teaching in the painting and drawing classes was terribly different either. So I think historically art schools have largely failed their students. Yeah, be our own marketing company, absolutely. It's so true. You got a million services out there that are happy to take your money and your time to say that they can help with that. These websites that keep popping up. Oh, well, we have a service that can post your artwork here and we'll get it in front of collectors, but will you? Will they really? Like, I've become extremely skeptical to all of these things because of just the experiences that I've had. I think that it's a lot easier for companies that are trying to do those things to market their service to the artists than it is for them to actually find and connect with the collectors or people who will actually buy art, which is what they're promising and what you would in theory pay for with them. So I don't know, online marketing with social media feels very hit or miss, and luck is so involved in that, and it's a whole other thing. And I've kind of reached a point where I'm more interested in trying to connect with people a little bit more directly at the moment. And I think that it doesn't hurt to consider going back to some old school things, whether that be taking part in art fairs, which I could definitely do with getting back into doing. I've only done a couple, and my trick with that is finding the right art fair fit, because a decent amount of my work is very colorful, but it tends to deal with some pretty I guess, mature topics in terms of mental health and that sort of thing. And I have nudity in it. I'm sorry. I'm like painting, thinking at the same time, talking. It's all hard. So the last time I took part in a community art festival, and I checked with the people running it to see if that would be a problem, and they thought it wouldn't be, but then they did ultimately get complaints from some parents. You know, probably the same parents that don't want their kids to have to see the Michael. Sorry, no offense to anybody, but that's just, I just, anyway. Thin skin on that one, I guess. But yeah, so I just have to find a better one, and probably need to be like more in the city than in the suburbs to find that. Is really the thing. They don't, because I've gotten so many messages on your Instagram account that are just complete scams. The scammers. Which is another reason why artists need to be careful when posting their work, especially with AI. Yep. Old-fashioned way of marketing yourself seems to be the most legit way to market yourself. That really, it seems like it's a lot of your best bet. Work on actual marketing skills of, you know, meeting and talking to strangers and connecting with people in a real way, which, you know, I'll be the first, as a huge awkward introvert, is hard. I'll be the first one to admit that. But I've been working on that too, trying to be better, and yeah, it's all very frustrating. And the thing with the scammers is nuts. Like, my first reaction is generally like, what? How much of a jerk do you have to be to try to like have so many scams that directly target artists? But at the same time, it kind of makes a lot of sense, because if you think about it, we tend to be a group of people in search of validation. Like, we want, especially when we're starting out as we're emerging artists or new artists, we're hoping for opportunities. We want people to acknowledge that, like, the time and effort we're putting into our work, that what we're doing is good and worthwhile. And it makes artists very easy prey for scammers, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, all my lessons I generally have to learn the hard way. I have come to be good at recognizing a lot of the scams, and just in the language and stuff people use after a while, and the kind of things they try to get away with. You definitely get used to it, where even when they're trying new things, after a while you're like, yeah, that smells funny, we're not engaging. The biggest piece of advice that I can offer anybody in that area, I think, is don't accept checks as payment for anything. I think the minute that you say you don't accept like a check or a money order for payment, that often will scare away a lot of scammers, or they just decide you're not worth continuing talking to. But there are some I haven't been approached with, but I've heard of some where they're also scamming using like PayPal and that sort of thing. So it's always got to use due diligence, and just, yeah, there's so much awfulness in the world. It's kind of the thing. It makes it tough. Yeah, it does make us easily prey, and also as artists we put a little piece of our heart in every piece we make, so it makes it that much more tough to trust others in our artwork. That's very true too. Absolutely. Yeah, and then it becomes it hurts a lot then also when things end up being scams like that. Yeah, I mean, we know we have to grow thick skin for critiques, and, you know, whether people are going to like our work. We know these things from just life and art school, but it's in business like that. the scammers and difficult customers and people who aren't ever going to be happy after they've hired you for, like, there's always those kinds of things that make it just equally as hard and crazy to try to figure out, try to work around. Nothing tends to be very easy or simple. And I have gone back, like, I have a undergraduate degree in fine arts. I never thought or got the impression that taking on the debt to do a master's would necessarily be worth it for me. I've tried some different things. There's so many coaches out there, you might notice, especially when you're on on social media. So many people want to coach you about how to be a successful artist. And after having spent money on some of them, I've become very cynical of them too. And I think that it's in a way can be, and please don't anybody take offense to this, it can end up being a little bit of a scam, even though I think the people who are doing it in earnest. They're running a legitimate business and they're trying to offer this service, but I find that the cost of what they tend to charge, and then the difference of that with what value they really are able to offer you, there's a tremendous disconnect. And that has made me become very, very cynical and wary of online coaches for artists. But there is what I've ended up doing, what I'm doing now is I'm taking online courses through Coursera, which is an online skill, like there's a few different ones. There's Skillshare and all their schools, but the thing about this is the classes are, there's a lot of different people and such that post things, but a lot of it's from legit universities. So I'm taking a business fundamentals class that's offered by Wharton, the business school of Wharton through the Penn State University. Penn State, Pennsylvania, something, University of Pennsylvania, one of those. It's supposed to be an excellent business school, and I am more than halfway through it, and it's been both interesting and intense at times. I have so far had a marketing section, which has been speaking more broadly about marketing, more so than post on social media 3 times a week. It's not that. It's about the concepts of marketing, even down to pricing and how determining profitability and sales channels and managing sales channels. And it's that kind of level of looking at marketing. That was the first section. And then there was an accounting section, which that was a more difficult section for me. More math and things, of course. And then we had, what was the next one? It was management, organizational management, which was very fascinating. And while I don't expect likelihood of having employees anytime soon, if ever, I don't know. But it really gave you an interesting perspective of just how workplaces function, how good leadership works, and how setting up balancing motivating employees and efficiency within business. And what it really hit me was taking that and looking back at all the different jobs that I've had. and comparing the types of leadership at different businesses and the things that I see happening around me with companies, especially that folks I know work with, where maybe they're not, they are officially not hiring people in the US anymore. They'll only hire overseas with countries that have like a much more depressed wage system, so they can save a lot of money on hiring and or doing a lot of layoffs and those issues. Like looking at the way that these things happen. And I've worked for a couple really good bosses. I've worked for several really bad companies. And a lot that just ran somewhere in the middle. So kind of being able to take that apart a little bit and see what is and isn't okay about any of those things, what their failures were. That was really cool. I enjoyed that, and it like makes you look at business differently just as a person functioning in the world, which probably, I mean, some of this stuff I think some people could struggle more than with others. I found that part kind of really fascinating. However, now I am in finance, and here's one thing I've learned by taking this finance class. If you are using the calculator on your iPhone, if you turn it sideways, now you have a scientific calculator. I had no idea. I've had iPhones since forever, and I had no idea, but now I suddenly need the use of a scientific calculator, and hey, look what I learned. So this class is, this is intense too. So, but I'm glad I'm learning these things. I do find it to be helpful in terms of like how I look at having a business, because being an artist in most situations, it essentially is like we are a business. So yeah, that's one of the things. I also was taking a class, it's almost done now, that was specifically social media marketing, because like I said, that just feels like another world that I don't speak the language of. And that has been interesting also. And it kind of confirmed a lot of what I already suspected, and that is that it's a lot of pay to play. Unless you're just really have a natural knack for social, if you have a real good knack for that, if you're a real people person and it just comes naturally to you, then you'll probably do all right. But the class I'm taking is offered, it's actually from, it's a marketing company working with Meta. So I'm gonna get a Meta certificate from it. I'm done with the course, and now it's just a matter of like scheduling and taking this exam through Meta. What would be one or two pieces of advice you would give to your younger self, especially knowing what you know now? Oh gosh, yeah, oh, there's so much. There's so much. What would I do? What would I say? It's tricky because I think a lot of my early day failings had as much to do with poorly managed mental health as anything else. Yeah, I kind of have to think about what would be the things that what would I tell myself that I think would actually have helped me get things going. Well, okay, there's a big one right off the bat, and this is me having learned this from experience also, but to not compromise what you're doing for other people. Yeah, Jim, right, so many things. One of the biggest mistakes I made right off the bat, I think, was getting myself into a position where I let a relationship in my life dictate a lot of what I was doing, and Man. And I let it hold me back, and I let it hurt me, and I let it stop me from, I just got focused on, okay, well, I guess I just have to get a job and make some money. So I did, and it was not good. The relationship was not good. The job was not good. None of it was working well. So yeah, first of all, really think about what you want out of life in general. And that from career to relationships, like, I'm going to use this as an example, but it applies to anything. Like, don't go through the motions of, okay, I have this partner, we're going to get married, and then I guess we'll have kids, unless that's really what you want in your life for the next however much time. I mean, obviously, kids isn't just how much time. It's a lifetime commitment, and then you have kids with somebody, your lifetime connected to that person. Kids are wonderful. I'm not saying anything about that. But my point is, I started going through some of those motions and getting into a relationship because it was the thing to do. It was just the next thing you do in this situation, without, like, where do I want to actually be? And like, where do I see myself when I'm 40 years old? Where am I living? What does my life look like? What's my career? And then working towards that. And we all have to make, like, sacrifices just to live, to get by. There's no doubt about that. But looking at things through more of a lens of, does this take me too far away from that to work towards something that maybe isn't actually what I want? So just taking the time. I see so many young women rush into life decisions, and I worry about that. Because I can say now at my age, almost all of my friends have been divorced at least once. And I'm not that old, to say. Okay, I would tell my younger self to get out of toxic workplaces soon. Yes, I stayed in too many places for too long. That too. Same with the relationships, as I was saying. Don't think that working harder will make things better when the system and process is broken. No, it won't. I mean, that's one thing that I've definitely learned in my business class is, you know, the toxic atmosphere, workplace attitudes, workplace environment is created from the top down, and somebody trying to work from the bottom up to try to change the culture and the environment, it's most likely not gonna be effective, and it's just gonna cause you a lot of stress and heartache and help. I don't know about you, Jim, but I definitely have probably lost a few years of life to the stress of being in bad relationships, bad jobs, and things like that. So my main worries is, once I get my degree, what am I going to do after graduating? I don't have a good answer for that for you. Just out of curiosity, you said you're taking a photography class next. Is that elective, or are you majoring in, like, photography, or what is your leaning? Because getting jobs in arts is tricky. I think that there's certain areas that are probably easier than others, and sometimes it's just a matter of trying to learn the business hustle too, of course, is a thing. But yeah, I mean, we get one shot at this whole life, right? And another thing is also, life is short, but also life is long. Life is short. Don't waste your time on the wrong choices if they're bad for you. But life is also long, and it's never too late to do things or change things. Because actually, if I'd done what I thought I wanted to do right out of college, it's very different from what I'm pursuing now. I'm no longer interested in creating the same kind of art I was at then. I work very differently, but I mean, hopefully for anybody, after enough years, you're just gonna grow and keep learning as a person and an artist. That's the ideal. That is where we want to be. So yeah, it's interesting. It's hard to look back and say, well, if I had done things differently, would I be in a better place? I don't know. Maybe I never would have gotten to where I am now. I don't know. I was decades trying to fit in the corporate white-collar world. Looking back, that was a mistake. Yeah, I've really learned the lesson that I'm not well cut out for corporate environments. Photography is an elective. I'd love to get into art therapy with kids. Oh, nice. Life is short, especially when you're in a job you hate. Oh God, yeah. The time both stands still, but also paralyzes you and flies. It's really crazy. Art therapy, I think, is going to be an area where you probably have more opportunity to get in with a company of some sort right out of school. I think that art therapy is a great service. It's clearly quite effective in a lot of ways, and therapists are very much in need, like they're very needed. So and it's something that, you know, there are companies that hire for that. So if for a job, that's probably not a bad way to go. And you have the potential to do some really good things. It seems that Gen Z understands not to stick around in a job that's a bad fit. That is something that I think is really great. Like, there was so much... There was a lot of the idea of you have to just, you know, figure things out. And I know that I probably I definitely put some of that on myself. I could have taken a little bit more time trying to figure out what I was doing after college and stayed with my parents a little bit longer. But I was in a kind of a bad place mentally back then, which made it difficult. Right, I think I'm gonna switch to a small paintbrush for a minute here. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's an interesting thing to think back. Like, what would I tell myself? I mean, and I think that I would look at that more in the sense of what would I tell young emerging artists now, more so than changing it like myself, just in the sense that, well, we can't change what happened, and I can have some regrets about some things, but I am in a good direction, on a good journey now, and so that makes things okay. For the most part. I mean, you know, nothing's ever simple, right? But yeah, and I was, well, with talking about the education stuff, yeah, if you have the opportunity to get in some legitimate business background, if you're going to work for yourself, I think it's really helpful. I understand that there are some really good resources, like the Small Business Association. If you have someone near you, there's one, I think, specifically for women too. And sometimes they just exist in cities, but they probably have online resources. There are resources that we should be better at tapping into to utilize for ourselves. I can tell with your use of beautiful bright colors, you're a very sensitive yet confident person. Introvert that has overcome lots, and because of that, you want to make sure others don't feel that pain. That is very insightful. I appreciate that. That's very lovely for you to say. I would just as soon, yeah, let people know from my experiences to not have to go through some of the same things. There's no doubt about it. That's a lot of the theme within a lot of my broader artwork. A lot of it's based around mental health, because I struggled for a really long time with things and didn't realize it. Like, I didn't understand that what I was struggling with was my mental health. It wasn't just like moral failings, and it was undiagnosed ADHD, long-term depression, like anxiety that just kept getting worse and worse. And finally starting to actually deal with that stuff has definitely been a journey. And then looking at like, how did I get here? How does anyone get here? I think that a lot of people in general, but my goodness, a lot of young people are very much affected by difficulties in their mental health. I think that at least maybe they have a lot more awareness and available information than existed when I was like a teenager and a young adult, and in my 20s for sure. There was still a lot of stigma. There still is in certain circles, but there was definitely a lot more of that, I think, back in those days. So yeah, it's interesting. And so much cultural garbage that we all deal with. Mental health is still such a big topic that there's still so much that we need to address and understand and be forgiving of ourselves about things and gentle with ourselves about things. I think you're a great person and a wonderful artist, by the way. Thank you. Well, that's very sweet. I appreciate that a lot. I try, certainly. I do try. I would like to be. I once had a therapist ask me, she's like, what is it that you think defines being a good person? And that led to some really interesting conversations and you know, dissecting things that we believe about ourselves, you know. Anyway. Yeah, I do caution and recommend using a decent amount of cynicism, though, with online coaches, with people who will coach you to have an art business. If you know how to operate an art business well enough to coach a bunch of people who almost guaranteed are all doing things a little bit differently than each other, why are you not operating one? Have you operated one? Like, there's a lot of questions to ask. The whole setup, the marketing funnels, I feel very conflicted about the use of marketing funnels. And they feel high pressure and a little like uncomfortable salesy. It's just, yeah, just something to keep in mind. Like, just tread carefully, because there's a lot of people that, you know, this is how they're making an income. It's another way of it can be another way of kind of preying on artists' insecurities, even though I think most of these people genuinely believe that they're offering something of use and of help. It just you know, always watch out for yourself. And let's see. I did make postcards to try to help with marketing myself. I made on my website, I added a couple pages dedicated to talking about the live painting and portrait painting as a service, as something that I can do for folks. With like an inquiry form and a fact sheet. and made little postcards with some examples of work and where the website is. So when I do happen to be at live events, if I have a table set up, I can put those out. I think having a mailing list is like one of the most valuable things, because we never know where our connections from social media could end up if something happens to our accounts or the platforms. Try to collect contacts for yourself that way. I think that it's a very valuable thing to keep in mind. So business-wise, that kind of covers a lot of what the things that I've been involved in and working on and trying to figure out. It feels like there's a lot of constantly like, I don't know that reinvention is the right word, but you're always trying to figure out what the right steps are and what the right moves to make are. And, you know, am I doing the right things? Am I putting my time and effort and money in the right areas? So I'm getting there. The trick is then, as I'm going through the classes that I'm doing and all that fun stuff, trying to pull all that information together into something practical and useful. I'm trying to be good at better at going to different types of live events, like not just for myself, but there's a lot. I'm close enough to the city, to Chicago, and there's enough of an artist scene that exists there that it would be probably very helpful for me to take the effort to get to know people and get involved in things happening there. And it's an uphill battle for me with anxiety and all that kind of fun stuff, but I'm working at it a little bit at a time. But in the meanwhile, just a little bit, anyway, yes, I'm going on a little getaway this coming week with my family. We're going to be staying at a cabin in the woods, which, as a big horror fan, kind of cracks me up. But I mean, legit, it's very disconnected. There's no TV, no Wi-Fi, which will be nice. Like really forcing you to disconnect much more than I probably generally do will be good. And I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully the weather will be really nice. And last summer I discovered that I enjoyed kayaking, so hoping to maybe do a little bit of that. That would be nice and fun and relaxing. And all I'm going to take with me, art-wise, I am going to take a sketchbook and, you know, some drawing utensils, but I think that's going to be kind of the extent of it. I'm not going to take painting supplies. I'm not going to let myself feel guilty for not posting on social media stuff while I'm there. Just really be unhooked. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to take some books. Yeah, that'll be good. Maybe I'll actually be able to finish a book or two. That'd be great. Yeah, it's more or less, yeah, and I'm not a camper. Like it's not like full on roughing it camping in a tent kind of thing. There is indoor plumbing, and that's kind of, for me, that, like, if I don't have indoor plumbing, it's not a vacation for me. That's just me. I mean, I appreciate those that really do enjoy that full-on experience. Heck, I barely like leaving the house. But, yeah, it'll be nice. It'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully my cat will not lose his mind, because he is very, very needy little guy with a lot of anxiety issues himself, and hopefully he'll be fine with me being gone. Yeah, yep, flashlights, reading, yep. That's exactly gonna be it. Because I just... distractions constantly. I have so many, like, I love books. I could buy books constantly and bring them home and then only read like the first quarter of it and then get distracted from it, forget it exists for a couple years, and just like have a cycle around the books like that. So I really would like to finish some of the books that I have bought and started reading, because I bought them because I want to read them. So yeah, looking forward to maybe doing some of that. Or just hanging out outdoors. Because I think it's going to be cooler. It's going to be up further north, so I think it's going to be much cooler than it is here. So that'll be really good, because I am always uncomfortably warm these days. And yeah, that'll be good. Then I can come back hopefully refreshed and ready to get busy with more stuff. I have to schedule my exam for that marketing class, that online marketing class that I was taking. And I kind of don't want to do that until I'm back. Probably have some studying to do. So it's been a long time since I've had to study for tests, and it's a whole thing. Hopefully I don't actually see any aliens, but we should at least see stars, when considering that here you see so few stars. So much light pollution. And there's something about a nova that's going on. I don't know. I don't remember the specifics, but I don't know that I'll be able to see any such things, but that would be cool. It would be nice. I'd be all about that. Probably get in some walking time. I do enjoy hiking. I haven't done much of it this summer. Barbecuing, actually, probably not. I don't know, maybe. Didn't even think about that. I don't know, maybe. It's funny, my family was not barbecuers growing up. And we have a grill here now, which we don't use nearly as often as we tend to, like, always intend to. My sister has grilled at her place once or twice. I guess we just tend to not think about it that much. It's kind of funny. Just random. Looks like he's wearing heels. Yeah, it has been my goal, like all summer long, to be more physically active. to do more things, get outside and go for walks. Or at one point I was like, oh, I should get back to jogging. Guess what hasn't happened? But yeah, jogging, trying to get back into eating better. I've been doing some of my green smoothies again. Haven't done that for a while. And I tend to buy, I'm the worst, I buy the ingredients to do it, and then it'll be finally, everything in the fridge is starting to like wilt and go bad, and I'll finally be like, okay, make giant batch of smoothies. I just, and that's if I'm lucky, if I get it done before it does go bad. Always my own worst enemy. Always, always. Made a rocket stove with a MIG welder, ooh, a couple weeks ago, so I want to start cooking outside soon. Oh, heck yeah! If you built your own stove, absolutely. That's awesome. I love it. That's really cool. Have you been doing a lot of metal work then recently? That's really awesome. I can remember as I don't know, kid, teenager maybe, like helping my dad with some welding stuff, but he didn't let me do much of the fun stuff. It was more like hold a thing for me kind of while he was welding, more than me learning how to do any kind of welding. And it's the kind of thing where I go on, I could see myself going on a tangent where, you know, you go and you buy all the supplies for it, but then never do it. I could absolutely see that happening from me, being me. Like, I need to learn how to do this completely random thing right now. I need to learn all the stuff. I need to get all the supplies. By the time I have all the supplies, I realize I don't really maybe necessarily have the right space because I don't have a yard or a garage or anything like that. And then just kind of lose interest or forget about it. That's kind of my MO. More than kind of, it is very much my MO. I had my purse laying in the paint stuff. No big deal. Okay. But I've had those moments. One of the last times that happened, I managed to like stop myself before I went completely overboard with it, but it was the last thing was I need to learn how to and then build my own headboard. Yeah, that was a for real moment that I had. Where I was like watching all these videos and making lists of all the materials that I needed and how was I going to do this. And then I managed to snap myself out of it, especially because I think at that time I had like actual work I was supposed to be doing. But it just becomes this like this inescapable drive that I must know, I must find out about this right now and learn all the things. Which is, it's fun in the sense that, you know, you learn all kinds of cool stuff. I love learning stuff. I love trying new things. But it also can be the worst enemy in terms of ever actually getting anything done. That is the downside. That is absolutely the downside. Okay. 11, okay. I'm probably not gonna go too much. This is not very far from what I'm gonna kind of, like, I'll do a little outlining on some elements here. And then probably consider this fairly much, like, good enough for what I want to try to do. Because I literally mean to be carrying this bag, like, tomorrow. This is another one of those things where it's like, I want to try to do this. Let me do it right now, even though I'm leaving tomorrow. I must have it. I must do it. It worked out. I managed to manage my time well enough to actually have the opportunity to work on it a little bit, but it's not going to be like the world's greatest masterpiece, but it gives me an opportunity to try this concept. I always have these ideas about, like, upcycling things and trying different ways of customizing stuff. So this is just a chance to actually try it. Like, I have a sewing machine and I was fussing around with it a little bit last year, and I have all these other ideas and things I would like to do with it, but I haven't done them. I haven't gotten my sewing machine actually out and hooked up in quite a while. Well, I would like to. I would definitely like to. Used free Savage metal at your makerspace. 5x5" steel square tube for its chimney, so I didn't have to buy any materials. That's the way to do it. That's awesome. That is so cool. I love it. That will be a lot. I mean, how satisfying to have the opportunity to cook and on something that you built. That is just the coolest. Something so satisfying and just feels good about making things that you can use or enjoy in some way. I had a brief period of time when I was younger where I actually was building computers, like PCs. And I just have got to a point where it's like, I don't ever want to do that again. The last time I did it for somebody, it's been more than 10 years now, and it was such a pain. Everything about it is so much more of a pain than it used to be. I thought I really just have come to despise Microsoft Windows. In other words, I've definitely become one of those Apple people. Don't judge. It can happen to the best of us. Yeah, I have a hard time imagining going back to a Windows system. I just can't see what would make that happen for me. And I used to swear by it. But it's hard to believe that we're this far into the summer. It's just crazy. that time is gone that fast. I did get out to the art museum. I haven't been to the Art Institute in so long in Chicago. I've been to the Modern Art Museum a few times in the last few years, but I hadn't been to just the good old Art Institute in so long. So I went with our nieces who hadn't been there before this summer, and that was a lot of fun. And my goodness, what a tiring day. It's so much walking and standing and stairs, but it was all really good. I hadn't been kayaking yet. I've barely gone for any walks, just a few. Haven't seen any concerts. I haven't done much of anything, which I'm really not complaining about. It's just, it just is. It's been busy and certainly a little weird. Everything's always weird anymore. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's like other things. There's a few things that I still intend on putting some time and focus into, including like dedicating, like maybe taking a course on SEO. I think would be pretty interesting, and I'd like to learn a little bit about that. And I want to look into, as I'm looking into doing things like live events, finding out about what kind of insurance I need to start caring for myself, because that's another thing to think about when you're doing things amongst people's. Other than that, I mean, things are good. I feel like, I feel hopeful about stuff in general, I think. I could say that. Feel like I'm getting to be on the right path. Even though sometimes it feels like there's a long way to go. But all in all, I guess that's kind of just life, right? Need a little bit of flow for a second. Let's see if we can get a couple little whiskers on here. All right. Well, it's not what I'd call exactly any kind of a masterpiece, but I think that it serves its purpose well enough for just trying something out. And I'm gonna see how after I let this dry, I'm gonna come back in and give it that sealant layer. Now the medium that I'm using recommends hitting it with some heat treatment after you finish, but I have to admit that I'm a little wary of doing that on this fakey material. I don't know if it will make it melt, and that would be probably fairly undesirable. So I'll probably just let this dry, add the medium, and I'll be using this bag and seeing how it holds up. It is my intention to, oh, this is Funky. Thank you for the follow. Hello. Nice to see you here. Thank you for being here. I would like to get back into doing some more frequent streams because it's been a while. I was doing them every week, twice a week before I stopped back in January, but I will probably not do that many, but I would like to be around a little bit more frequently just to work on projects and, you know, talk shop and chat with anybody who's interested and about anything. So I will see when I get back from my week of being unplugged how things feel, how it looks, and try to keep something scheduled. And I will try to announce ahead of time, like when I intend to be streaming. I guess it's possible that I might just show up at some random points in time too and just hop on. I can do that, I suppose. That would not be the worst thing in the world, huh? But in the meantime, if you want to know when I plan to be streaming and ahead of time, I try to post a few days out in advance on my Instagram, like in my stories, or also I posted ahead of time on a post in YouTube because I'm streaming on both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I am on both platforms, and I think I'm not really sure the best way to post on Twitch if I'm going to be doing like random, like maybe every 2 week or whatever days. I know that I can post if I'm doing like regularly scheduled, which of course they recommend, but if that doesn't work out, then that doesn't help too much. But yeah. Anyway, so that's the plan. And after this dries today, besides doing the little coat, my little finishing coat for fabric painting, I am going to add on a patch and some other goofy things. Maybe I'll take a paint marker to this and add a few random details. Just, like I said, it's not the most amazing work of art in the world, but this is just for fun and to see what happens. This is basically a test. More or less. So, yeah. All right. I think I'm going to sign off, everybody. And so thanks for anyone who's here, anybody who's been watching, everybody who said hi, but just for being here and stopping by at all. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you sooner rather than later. So have a great weekend and bye.